Hello guys, so welcome back to Chess DNA, and in today's video you're going to find out what exactly it feels like to be playing chess at 2100 level on chess.com. So I actually hit 2100 back in, I don't know, maybe 1.5 years ago, but then I actually fell down to 2000s and even 1900s because I was just trying to have fun playing chess. But these guys, trust me, these guys above 2100 and even 2000, they're not playing chess for fun. They would not just, get bored and just take out their phone and try to have a good game of chess and call it a day. These guys are sitting in front of their computers with their laser sharp focus, and they suddenly turn into like Gukesh, and they're like meditating before every game and treating every game like it's a world championship match. And believe it or not, this is exactly what we are going to do as well, because we'll respect our rating and we'll treat every game like super serious. And my goal is to not actually fall back down to 2000s. I am going to be targeting that 2200 level rating now. So what I'm going to do today is I'll be playing a game of chess, which will be like a 10+0 rapid game at this current rating of 2122. And we'll be sharing my thought process during the game so that you guys can get a feel like how serious it gets at this level. And also it will be a great learning experience for you guys as well. So, and trust me, even if I lose, win or draw, I'm going to be posting this video, and I'm going to be making these videos very often so that you guys will be getting a lot of benefit in improving your game as well. So wish me luck and let's start the game. So let's see what opponent are we getting and is their level. So 2069. So relatively lower level of opponent that we have got, and we'll start with knight f3, and he goes knight c6, and now we'll transpose into like a d4 opening, just because he has committed with knight c6, and it's really nice to actually just transpose into a d4 setup where this knight c6 move would be a little bit awkward, and we'll try to take advantage of it. Because usually you just play the knight to d7 and then play c6 and try to be really solid. But this knight on c6, although it's fine objectively, but could be really hard to play. The ideas for black are very limited in this setup. So now we'll just take our dark square bishop out to g5 square and then play e3. Okay, now he takes on c4, and we're not so much worried about that pawn just yet. We'll be trying to recapture that with the bishop. Also, there are setups when we can go g3, bishop g2. We have to choose here. Currently, I feel like we can just play even a move such as e4. That's possible. e3 is also a move. Let's actually go e3 and just try to get the pawn back, because like I said, these guys are serious. They're not playing chess for fun, trust me. So now we're just going to get the bishop back on c4, not really falling behind in material. And okay, he goes h6, trying to kick our bishop back. So we're never going to trade that bishop for the knight. Bishop pair is something we need to respect a lot at this level, so we'll keep our dark square bishop. Okay, castles, and like in every position we need to keep asking ourselves, what is our worst placed piece and how can we further improve our position? Let's bring the rook to this open c file that I see was doing nothing. It was getting rusted on this a1 square, so from c1 it is just taking a little bit of control of the c file, so I like that move. Okay, now we might actually think about moving the queen to some square. Queen e2, there's also queen c2. Queen c2 might run into knight b4, so might want to play a3. But before going a3, maybe it's a good idea to slightly improve the queen to the e2 square, because from there we are also connecting the rooks, and the other rook will be getting into the game pretty quickly. We might want to play rook to c2, the other rook to c1. But of course, whenever we put anything on c2, we need to watch out for this knight b4 jump. So a3 has to be played at the right moment before we put anything on the c2 square. So a3 is also going to be, vacating this a2 square for the bishop so that it can just, drop back to b1, queen d3. Building a battery on these light squares is a standard idea in these d4 positions. So I'll be actually... Okay, knight to h7 is a little bit peculiar move, and his idea is to try to force that trade of the dark square bishops. So do we want to keep the dark square bishops or do we want to trade? We can trade, and we can also keep them. I don't know. If we take, we are helping their queen develop, so I don't know, maybe just putting it on g3 is also fine. Taking, I guess, was also fine. We'll see after the game. But here we are just, little bit extracting the pawn on c7. Okay, now the knight is actually jumping to g5. So if we take, the bishop is going to take. Then do we have this h4 move? Not really, because bishop takes and there's a queen watching out for that square as well. We can force the knight to take our knight, then queen takes on f3. But again, the pawn on h4 would be falling because there are a couple of pieces attacking it. So not so sure what to do here. Maybe we can just take. Bishop takes. And is there an f4 available here? Not so sure. There's bishop h4, I guess. So, okay, I'm just going to go a3 here. Just going to wait for him to make some commitments with his pieces, and then we are going to choose the squares, right squares for our pieces. Bishop to a2 to b1, queen d3 is going to be my main strategy in this position, trying to create a threat on the h7 square. Like, this battery is super powerful always. So also I'm just keeping in mind that we are not falling way behind on the clock. Okay, f5 looks a little bit too weakening. Now he's got this weakness on e6 as well, which is currently pinned. How can we take advantage of it? Okay, so maybe we can improve the rook to d1. Yeah, I don't sense anything that he's doing with these moves like f4 or anything. Oh, he goes f4. If we take on f4, then bishop takes, rook takes. I mean, we have to take on f4, otherwise we are losing the bishop. Bishop does not have any squares, so there is no point in calculating a move that is pretty much forced. And here we can, of course, we have to save the rook. And let's take the bishop, actually. Okay, we are getting an isolated pawn on the d file, but he also has an isolated pawn on the e file, which I see is currently under attack by a couple of our pieces. So it should be good for us. So if we take, bishop takes, queen takes comes with a check. So it cannot be bad. It cannot be worse for us. So definitely happy with my position. Definitely happy with the outcome of the opening. And if I lose from this position, then I'm quitting. And I'm not quitting. I'm just gonna be, of course, much more serious about my improvement, because here, okay, d5 kicks the knight to some passive square. Okay, knight can go to d4. Because my pawn on d4 is under fire right now, because it's under attack by 3 of the pieces, only defended by the rook. So if we want to keep our solid advantage of being up a pawn, we have to defend the pawn on d4. So for that, I'm just pushing the pawn on d5, and there cannot be anything wrong with that. I'm pretty much sure about it. So knight d4 I'm expecting. From d4, I cannot be moving my knight from c3 because there is some threat of knight e2, although the queen is defending it for now. But queen can be pushed back with rook f6 kind of moves. But I'm overall happy with my position. Like, I have a solid extra pawn. My queen is really solid, strong, sitting right in his camp. And his knight is going to be pushed back. My knight is really having fun on its natural squares. The rooks are really something that is giving me all this happiness, because they are placed in the ideal position, I would say. They are centralized so well. If we compare our rooks to his rooks are, okay, rook on f4 is good, but the rook on a8 is not doing anything. So kind of feel like my position is better. I would say it should be like plus 1.2. And after the game, I'll be seeing on what move it is. So it's move 20. So my guess about the evaluation right now is 1.2 for white, or maybe 1.5, I don't know. But 1.2 to 1.5 is what I feel like. So let's see after the game if our assessment of the position is correct. Okay, so what is going to be our strategy? We are going to keep the extra pawn that we have in okay, knight d4 attacks the queen, and we always need to look for these sacrifices. If rook takes, do we have anything? Not really. We can just move the queen back to e5. I feel like is good. Yeah, from e5, we are also attacking the knight as well as the rook. So he has to do something about that. And if he plays queen f6, I'm happy to trade queens, I feel like. And also the pawn on c7 is hanging, but the pawn on f2 would also be hanging. But why don't I just simply take the queen, make him take my queen with the rook, and okay, he takes with the pawn because then he would be losing the knight. But here we could be actually making that rook look a little bit silly because it's trying to defend the knight on d4. But if I go here, probably he's got knight b3 trying to attack my rook. If I take, then he's take. I mean, I'm winning the knight. Okay, wait a second. If I go g3, he's got knight to f3 check, saving the knight that way. So it doesn't work. Okay, what else can we do to kind of make the rook move away? I don't know. I kind of feel like even if I take the knight, go knight e2, that should also be okay. But why should I lose my advantage just like that? I'm not going to lose my advantage just like that. Okay, what about rook d3? Rook d3. Rook d3 actually looks really nice. Believe it or not, but rook d3 looks really nice because we are controlling the knight's jump to f3 square with that move. And now g3 is kind of a threat because rook g4, there is h3. And then rook moves away, then we take the knight. So yeah, but there is knight b3 that he might be actually looking for. But at least I'll be getting the other rook to e1 and be trying to infiltrate the position like that. So again, I would say it's definitely better for white, probably 1.5. I hope my evaluation is not too embarrassing, but yeah, I'm pretty confident about it. So there are weaknesses in his camp. Pawn on h6, pawn on f6 are pretty weak. I'm happy with any kind of rook trades because these pawns are really easy to target in the endgame. I have really nice pawns on the queen side and the king side, and then the extra pawn on the d file is just... Okay, now he goes rook to e8, but now can we go g3, knight f3? I cannot still take, but g3, knight f3 check, king g2. And he has to save the rook, but then the knight will be lost. Okay, let's go g3. I wanted to play this move so bad, so let's see if my move is good enough or not. But g3 is kind of the move that is giving me the feeling of getting the game over pretty quickly. Of course, with us winning the game, it cannot be a blunder. Because we are just creating this lift square for the king as well to avoid any kind of back rank checkmates. So it should be great. So if we win this game, we are getting 7 points. So we'll be on 21-29. So we are only going up from here. That's what I said. But I would say we got a relatively easier game because he just played knight c6 in the opening. Knight f3, knight c6, d4, I always feel like comfortable. Because then you're just, you have already committed the knight on... Okay, so his idea is to... If I take, then he's going to give this check. King g2, then he's going to take my rook. Then I take on f6. He's going to take my rook. I take his rook. Okay, not a bad move, I would say, by my opponent. If I go king g2 and ignore his threat, he has to save his rook because the knight would be attacking it. Okay, king g2 and just avoiding any kind of nonsense. Any kind of nonsense has been avoided by this move. Because what his idea was to... Yeah, he had a tricky idea. We have like a pi amount of time, 314, which is one of my favorite numbers. And I usually kind of see that number on the clock. It's pretty amazing. Like, usually I'm playing and suddenly look at the clock and it's 3 minutes and 14 seconds. The pi, the value of pi. Just because I love it so much. I mean, probably that's why I subconsciously always stop here. So, okay, now he goes here. If I take his rook now, then he's going to take my rook. Don't like that. So, if I take. Okay, I'm just going to trade the tricky knights out of the board. Be a healthy pawn up. Can even take on c7 now and just, run that pawn up the board. Definitely should be good for me. Now he has to take on b2, otherwise I take on b7. But the real thing is that I'm just, getting my pawn rolling down the board. But I have to watch out for rook e2, but rook f3 defends it. So yeah. I'll be interested to see how he can defend this from here. Because I feel like it's definitely +4 or 5. +5, I would say. Because pawn is really hard to stop. Pawn is really hard to stop, but I also have my rooks invading his position, so he has to deal with those threats as well. Definitely winning, guys. So yeah, we have almost done it, but we need to keep our focus intact, not lose it, because what do they say? The hardest positions to play are the winning positions, right? So I cannot just relax here. These guys are super sharp in finding resources and trying to draw the game. Okay, so yeah, he goes behind the pass pawn, but now I can even take on f6, trying to defend like that. Okay, he had to defend against a checkmate. Now I cannot take it because then I'll be losing the pawn on f2. But I can just, push my pawn forward. Can I do that? Of course, why not? Just push the pawn forward, give a check, promote to a queen, and it's winning. Pretty simple at this level. I mean, he should just resign. But I mean, they would never resign. Okay, if I promote to a queen with check, what is he going to do about it? He's going to take my rook, but then I have a... Oh, no, he's not even going to take my queen. This is over, guys. So I promote with a check and defend my rook at the same time, so this is over. So yeah, a very comfortable game, I would say. So let's see the game review. I'm expecting to be having an accuracy above 90% for this game, and at least like a 2400 level of play. So the accuracy is surprisingly low, 82.1. 2200 level of play by chess.com, I would say, is a little bit harsh. My opponent 68%, but I'm interested to see what mistakes did I do in this game. Knight f3, knight c6, d4, d5, c4, knight f6. Knight c3 is a miss. Like, was there a better move than that? Okay, c takes on d5, and white is already having +1. But okay, knight c3, e6. We are transposing back into some sort of theory here. Takes on c4, drops the bishop back, castle, rook c1 is best, queen e2. Knight to h2 is inaccurate. Yeah, I mean, looked really weird. Bishop g3 is best, but what about bishop takes on e7? Is that good? Not so great. Yeah, because we are helping their queen develop, so why not just put the bishop on g3 and, x-ray that pawn on c7, which is a backward pawn, thanks to the knight c6 move he played, so he's never got time to play a c6. So yeah, takes here, takes... Okay, a3 is a mistake. Instead, d5 should have been considered. Okay, guys, whenever you have a knight and bishop here controlling d5, just push it. Most of the cases, you have to push the pawn, liquidate the position in the center, and then bring the rook, enjoy a very comfortable position there. So yeah, a3 was unnecessary, but still retains at least like a 1 pawn advantage for white. Okay, f5 was a blunder. I thought it was a mistake because it just weakens the e6 pawn a lot. But a computer says it's a blunder. Rook d1, but the best was d5 again. Okay. Okay, f4 I thought was not so great because we could take, and now we could just, win that pawn. And now d5, knight d4. Okay, queen e5 is a miss. Queen e3 was better. Okay, that square for the queen was better. But again, queen e5 is also good. Queen f6 I thought I would just take, and rook d3 is a little bit inaccurate. g3 is best. Okay, yeah, I mean g3, if knight f3 check, king g2, I suppose. Yeah, king g2, and this is definitely winning for white because now you have to save the rook and also keep an eye on the knight. If rook f5, then knight e4. Going for what? I don't know. Knight e4. Also, there is knight e2, d6. All these moves are winning. Knight e2, going for the d4 square, maybe. Okay, some, I don't know, complicated lines, but I'm interested to see what happens after knight e4. What defense does he's got? Knight g5, then knight takes g5, f takes g5. and rook takes c7. So this was the idea, transposing into a very easily winning rook endgame where you have this very dangerous passer. So yeah, g3, like I should have found it with 5 minutes 20 seconds on the clock, but rook d3 is a little bit inaccurate, but it also retains the advantage for white. And now g3, king g2. Okay, so here I was interested to see if I could instead play knight takes a rook. Yeah, that's also winning. Knight e2 check. I thought I would just move the king to f1 or g2. Both are fine. He would take my rook here. I would take pawn on f6. No, that's bad, I think. Is it? Not so much. You take my rook, I take your rook, and I'm hitting on c7. Also winning for white, yeah. So king g2 just avoids any kinds of that nonsense. Knight e2, I would just take on c7, push my pawn forward, take here, and just pass pawn is so dangerous, and it's game over. In fact, it's made in one, so he resigned. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, this is like my first time ever playing above 2100 level, at the same time recording a video for you guys to kind of get a feel of how it feels like to be there, and also should be very instructive for you guys to watch a high level game and improve your chess as well. So I hope you guys liked it. I promise to improve the quality of my play, as well as videos, as well as commentary, as well as analysis, everything for you guys in the coming videos. It's just a startup, so I have huge ambition with this, and we'll be definitely improving the content for you guys even more. If you guys enjoy my content, then subscribe to Chess DNA, do comment on my videos. I respect the recommendations and suggestions a lot. And if you want to book a lesson with me, then the link is in description for that as well. And see you guys in the next video. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. Bye. I'll return this off.